Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a complete cinematic experiment presented by Dr. Chem, all about the preparation of ceramic materials. We're going to trace their journey, this almost magical path from a pile of raw, unformed powder all the way to the indestructible high-tech components that silently power our modern world. Let's get right into it.
So think about this intriguing problem. If you want to make a complex shape out of, say, metal or plastic, the solution is usually pretty straightforward, right? You heat it up, it melts, you pour it into a mold, and bam, you let it cool. But ceramics, totally different story. They possess incredible high temperature stability and extreme hardness. Their melting points are just staggeringly high, which means conventional melting, molding, or even machining is pretty much off the table. So how exactly do we force these stubborn materials into the ultra-precise shapes we actually need? Well, here is Dr. Chem's roadmap for our experiment today to answer just that. First, beyond the coffee mug. Second, the powder processing route. Third, fluid forming with slips and tapes. Fourth, vapor phase atomic precision. And finally, sintering, turning up the heat.
All right, part one, beyond the coffee mug.
Now, we all interact with traditional clay and silica ceramics every single day, but we're talking about applications that go way beyond your standard coffee mug or bathroom tile. Today's advanced ceramics are being used in life-saving medical scaffolds and high-stress aerospace components. We are dealing with engineering ceramics here. Think highly purified, carefully synthesized compounds like aluminum oxide, silicon carbide, and silicon nitride. These engineered materials give us extreme heat resistance and phenomenal strength without the heavy weight of metals. But to actually unlock those properties, we have to process them in a completely different way.
Which brings us to part two, the powder processing route. Because we simply can't easily melt these advanced materials, the whole industry relies on a meticulous powder processing workflow. It goes like this. First, synthesize the raw powder, so its purity and particle size are absolutely perfect. Second, form those powders into a fragile, temporary shape called a green component. Third, bake that component at extreme heat in a process called sintering. And finally, since the result is incredibly hard, finish it off with intense diamond grinding. Let's pause on step two for a second. Before any intense heat is applied, we have to create what's known in the industry as a green body. Essentially, a green body is a dry, unfired ceramic made entirely of tightly packed powders. It holds its shape just well enough to be carefully moved to a furnace, but honestly, it is remarkably fragile. Despite being made of high-tech materials, you could literally crush it with your bare hands. So the great engineering challenge here is figuring out how to get loose powder to hold a complex shape in this delicate green state to begin with. Let's look at how we solve that in part three, fluid forming, slips, and tapes. To create these complex, macroscopic shapes without using heat, we actually use fluids to create something called a slip. By mixing incredibly fine ceramic powder with a liquid, usually water, along with some chemical dispersants, we create this fluid slip. It's packed with solid particles, but flows just like a liquid. Imagine it acting kind of like silt suspended in a river or wet sand right after a wave washes over it. And this brilliantly illustrates the slip casting process. We pour that liquid slip right into a porous mold, typically made of plaster. The mold acts exactly like a sponge, absorbing the water out of the slip through capillary action. As the water gets sucked into the mold walls, it leaves behind a thin, solid, tightly packed wall of ceramic powder. Once that wall is thick enough, you just pour out the excess liquid, open the mold, and boom, you have a complex, hollow, three-dimensional green body. Now, slip casting is absolutely perfect if you're making complex, hollow 3D shapes like sinks or industrial crucibles. But what if you need something perfectly flat? That's where tape casting comes in. Instead of a mold, tape casting uses a tool called a doctor blade to spread the slip onto a moving belt. It's almost like spreading an ultra-thin sheet of dough. As the solvent evaporates, a binder holds the particles together, producing a flexible, ultra-thin green tape. Fun fact, this is the exact process used to manufacture the intricate, multi-layered structures and microscopic capacitors sitting right inside your smartphone. Moving right along to part four, vapor phase, atomic precision. So, stepping away from macroscopic fluids, sometimes we need layers of ceramic material that are unimaginably thin. We're talking down to the nanometer. To pull that off, we use chemical vapor deposition, or CVD. In this process, we introduce gaseous precursor molecules into a chamber. These gases actually react right at the surface of our substrate, growing thin, solid films of ceramic material. This highly precise chemical choreography is absolutely essential for manufacturing things like metal oxide semiconductors. Building on that, we can compare traditional continuous CVD, where all the reactant gases mix above the surface, with a highly advanced variant called atomic layer deposition, or ALD. The absolute key difference here, in ALD, the chemical reagents are strictly separated by gas purges. They literally never meet in the gas phase.
ALD is a real game changer because its chemistry is self-limiting. A gas is pulsed in, it reacts with every single available spot on the surface, and then, because it can only react with the surface and not itself, the reaction just stops. The excess gas is purged and the next chemical is pulsed in. This exact cycle lets us build perfectly uniform ceramic coatings, exactly one single atomic layer at a time. It uniformly coats complex 3D nanostructures and even works on temperature-sensitive substrates, which is totally crucial for shrinking our device technology.
Finally, part 5, sintering, turning up the heat. All right, let's step back up from the atomic level. How do those fragile green bodies we made earlier achieve their legendary strength? Well, they face a trial by fire. The green body goes into a specialized furnace and is subjected to some extreme heat. We are talking temperatures often hitting 1400 degrees Celsius or more, which intentionally sits just below the melting point of the specific ceramic powder we're using. This intense process is called sintering, and it's the critical transformation step for the whole shebang. By heating the material just below its melting point, we excite the atoms enough that the individual powder particles begin to physically fuse and bond tightly together. As they bond, the empty spaces, the porosity between the particles, is completely eliminated. The material physically shrinks, densifies, and its strength is massively, massively enhanced. That weak, crumbly green body we started with, it's now locked into its indestructible, rock-solid final structure. In fact, the final product is so incredibly hard that traditional metal machining techniques are completely useless against it. To get perfectly exact, highly precise final dimensions, we have to fight rock with rock by employing diamond-tipped tools to grind the ceramic down. Literally, only a diamond is hard enough to finish the job. So, from a powdery dust, to atomic layers stacked one by one, to fragile shapes baked in searing heat, that is the hidden journey of advanced ceramics. Take a moment to look around you and consider what invisible, painstakingly engineered ceramic components are silently powering the very device you're watching this on right now. Thanks for joining me for Dr. Chem's complete cinematic experiment on this explainer, and keep questioning the materials that build our world.